Welcome to Let Them See You, the podcast that honors educators, the everyday heroes shaping futures with courage and heart. I'm your host, Sarah Hightower. This is your space to recharge, find joy, and embrace your power. Hello, welcome back to episode 13 of Let Them See You. Everyone, I have to tell you, I'm really excited about these next few episodes because we've kind of been on this kick of praising teachers in different grade levels for the different work that happens. We're also supporting what happens with parents, what the students get to go through. And I think that's big work. It's easy to focus on things that are going wrong right now, but it's important to think about what's going well and how we can use what age that they're at to support their learning and to help us grow. It makes a difference. So, episode 13, grades 1 through 3, where the magic starts. There is so much that happens at this age. So much that happens at this age. I remember when I was in, maybe it was second or third. I really can't remember. But this is the grade level where I kind of found out who I was as a person, because I remember living in these apartments and growing up, I did move around a lot. I want to say I went to 4 or 5 different elementary schools. And it was, something that kind of affected my personality. I was pretty shy, that I can remember. If you weren't family, it took me a while to warm up to you. And I didn't talk to people very much at all. And so when I was at this particular school, living in these apartments, I had a next door neighbor. I don't know what their religion was. I just know that it was different from mine. And I think perhaps it was Muslim, because I went over to their house. The young boy had invited me over for dinner, I think. And I told my mom, and she was like, all right. And so I went over there, and it was right next door. And I want to say maybe it was the dad was finishing up prayers on the mat on the carpet, and it was the first time I had ever seen that. And I just remember being respectful and quiet and following the mom into the kitchen, and she had the dinner set on the table, and I sat down, and it was something like a liquid. It was red. It was spicy. I loved it. I loved it. And we ate something, it was like a bread, almost like a tortilla, but it wasn't a tortilla. And I remember dipping into that and biting into it and thinking to myself, this is good. This is really good. And I think I like spicy food. And we just talked and chatted. We talked about school, probably. It was light conversation. I remember laughing. I also remember feeling very comfortable. There was, nothing strange about it. It was just a comfortable seating and a comfortable situation where I was sitting with this family that was nothing like mine, but also very much like mine. And it was the first time in my life that I realized people that are different from me have a lot of similarities to me. And I discovered that no matter what, I'm going to look for those similarities. And it was at that age, I must have been 8 years old, that I decided that I'm just going to be accepting and I'm going to be respectful. And that was that. And ever since then, I was wanting to know about different cultures, wanting to know about different languages and ways of life. And my grandmother had neighbors who spoke Spanish. I would go over there and try to talk to them and learn things. And they would, share their culture and their foods with us. When we moved into our own home with my mom, the neighbors across the street also spoke Spanish. And I would go over there before school, and we would watch this show called Susha. And it was in Spanish, and I would eat like a cheese quesadilla for breakfast, and they were speaking Spanish to me, and I just remember being immersed in differences, and I would always, always love it. I have always loved that, and I'm drawn to it. I love differences and how differences come together to make something beautiful. That has been a theme in my life since I can remember, but especially from 8 years old. So I am going to, you know, really shed some light on how this age is such a great age for discovering those sorts of things. So that was fun. And I still carry those memories and those experiences with me to this day. So, grades 1 through 3, let's get into it. This is magical for so many different reasons. First of all, I want to think about what happens in grades 1 through 3. There are some major learning leaps that occur. The main three that, you can think of that happen in first, second, and third grade. The reading starts to click. That's the major thing that happens between grades 1, 2, and 3. Also, math facts, they become automatic. They're starting to get that math internalized, and some of them, at least up to the 5s or 6s, they're starting to gain a really good grasp on, and it helps them with their math in the future. And then finally, the explosion of curiosity. They start to pinpoint what they really want to learn more about, and they go looking for it. That happens in first, second, and third grade. So those are the major academic things that happen that they tend to grow from. But when I say that reading clicks, this does not happen overnight. This happens because teachers are able to support each and every student so that the reading clicks. For example, you will rarely see a first, second, or third grade classroom where small groups aren't happening. They are happening each and every day, most days. They're pulling several groups a day based on the child's ability. Sometimes those groups are flexible based on what was taught that day. And so it is really a common occurrence to see small groups of children working on specific skills that they need to master. It could even be a small group of children who have already mastered the skills, and the teacher is supporting them by enriching them. They're giving them things that are a little bit deeper because they can. They can go deeper and they can be enriched. And so, not just the kids that are struggling, but they're also supporting the kids who've got it and who are beyond. So it is quite the age that is, you've got to be very elastic in your approach to teaching. And that is what happens all the time in these grade levels. It's also a social growth time. Man, this is where you find that first best friend, right? Sometimes younger than that, but first, second, and third, you're going to hear that term a lot. She's my best friend. She's my best friend. We're best friends. We're buds, right? Nowadays, they have all kinds of different lingo that they use, but somewhere along the lines of a best friend. And there's all kinds of like recess things that are happening. Recess can be very imaginative. Recess can be very structured for them, and not necessarily because the adults made it that way. It could be because the kids have developed this way of recess, and this is what we do, and this is where, and this is how, and voila, right? They also do have a time during first, second, and third grade where they learn how to include others. Unfortunately, sometimes they learn how to exclude others. And we have to have these conversations about why we can't do that. And it's just an interesting time socially for students. And teachers really help in this way too. Teachers, administrators, parents, this is that time where we have those conversations about your friend group and how you are okay. It's okay to play with certain people, and it's okay to understand when there's something that makes you uncomfortable and how you speak up about it. And when there's someone that makes you uncomfortable and how you speak up about it. And so that is a very common occurrence that starts at this age. That confidence of speaking up, it really doesn't happen unless there is a confidence building that's occurring. And parents and teachers play a huge role in that. Sometimes the other kids play a huge role in that. It's that first time where they read without fear out loud. And there's a praise that happens for even trying, for even attempting. There's that first time of getting that good job, that sticker, that check on the paper. All of that makes a huge difference. I remember when I was younger, I do not remember the grade for that, but I do remember looking at my paper and feeling happy when there was a sticker on it. I recall that. That was a moment where I thought I did something right. I actually learned it. I got it. I also remember the times where my paper was filled with red and there were X's all over the place and feeling crushed and actually not saying much in that class for a while. That was a math class. Um, and it kind of messed me up because I felt like, man, I don't know math. I can't do math because look at all this red. And it took me a while to come out of my shell again in that class because I was so beat down, I felt like, from that assignment alone. And so it's really important how we communicate areas of growth and how we communicate what is being done well. Just keeping in mind that these are little people and they have feelings and we have to, consider them when we're giving feedback. Feedback, first of all. A sticker is wonderful. A good job is great, but specific feedback goes a long way. And it's really hard to give specific feedback if you don't have specific learning targets outlined for the class. Tell them how they know they're going to know what's been learned. How do you know you learned it? This, and this. If you can do that, you learned it. If you can do that, you learned it. If you can do that, you learned it. You have to tell them, right? And then once they can refer back to it and say, okay, I can do that. I got this. It takes a lot of the load off the teacher to have to provide that specific feedback to every student every day. That can be exhausting when you think about it. It becomes the students providing feedback to one another, and it becomes the student self-reflecting and self-assessing themselves because they can determine if they know it or not. But it all starts with being clear with what it is they need to know. If they don't know, they can't self-assess. They can't help each other. So it's really important to be clear with this is what we're learning today, and this is how you know you learned it. They become masters of determining if they've got it. And that can happen in first, second, and third grade. That way, as they move forward in life, they learn to self-assess. They learn to give themselves specific feedback on things. But it has to be clearly laid out. And it helps them emotionally because it's not like, oh, I just don't know this. Like when I got X's all over my paper, it's not I just don't know math because it was a global thing in my mind and in my spirit. I just didn't know math. But it's because there was no specific thing that I can remember that we were supposed to know that told me that I learned it. I don't remember specifics. So I couldn't pinpoint this one thing that I needed to work on. It felt global. So I felt like a failure as a whole because there wasn't anything I could pinpoint that I didn't know. So when I saw all the exits, it was like I didn't know anything. So it's really important to be specific with what it is they're supposed to learn, that learning objective or learning intention, and then what it is how they can know that they've learned it. Okay. You've got to have the ability to be specific. Sometimes that with those, emotional sprinkles that you can put around on students, there's some cup fillers I've seen where kids write each other notes like, hey, you do a really great job at, drawing pictures, or you make me laugh, you're so funny, or you're my best friend, or I like sitting by you, you're quiet, or, just little things that people like to see. Again, these are little people. As an adult, I love to receive feedback, even if it's critical, even if it's something I need to grow in. That's great. But I love to receive feedback. So if it's something that is positive, wonderful. Tell me exactly what though. Because just saying, hey, you're great at what? Great at what? But what? Thank you. Um, that is a very broad thing. And sometimes it doesn't feel genuine if it's so broad like that, right? But if it's more specific, like, hey, you're great at having conversations about hard things. That right there is more specific. And I can do something with that. Or, hey, you really need to work on having conversations about hard things. Oh, okay, yeah, that is okay. Now I know where I could work. I can do some studying. I can get some help. I could talk to someone. I can, practice, but you need specifics. And so try to be specific with that feedback. In first, second, and third, they are not too young for specific areas of growth and specific things that they're doing well. They're not too young for that. They're at a perfect age to start hearing things that are based on feedback that you give, pinpointing these things. All right. I can remember back in the day, I'm dating myself. I am aging myself. When the teacher like rolled the TV into the classroom and it was like, yes, it's gonna be that kind of day. We're gonna watch a movie or we're gonna see this video. Because to me, those were the easiest days. I felt like my brain did not have to work as hard when that TV was rolled in there and they popped whatever into the VCR. Yes, I said VCR. And so that was wonderful. In the classroom nowadays, though, it's like they use technology on a regular basis. And so it might be, incorporated in different ways at different times of the day, but it's part of the learning now. So it's not like this treat or this new thing. It's actually a part of life in 2025. They're accustomed to seeing it. So much so that we actually have to put limits on it now because they look at a screen often. They might be looking at a phone, an iPad, a laptop. They might be looking at the smart board in the classroom. We just, at this point, have to limit the amount of time they see a screen because they see them so much and give them more opportunities to interact with one another and with the world around them. Hold a book, open it, and read it. I am guilty of that because I really love Audible. I'm that person that's like, oh, I have all these things to do, but I can listen to the book and I can, take it in that way. I don't necessarily have time to sit down and open the book and touch the pages and read it. That is a luxury. When I get that time, it's nice to hold the book, right? But oftentimes it's Audible, right? We rely on electronics quite a bit. And so, that's fine. Just think through how they're being used and if there is another way to possibly teach or have students receive that information. Um, just thinking about emotionally at this age, other things that, you know, would drive us wild. I say us. Us is me. Drive me wild. Parties. Who I I was an anxious teacher sometimes. And I taught some of the lower grade levels mostly, and parties just I was happy to hand that to a class mom or a class parent. It just here you go, because I don't. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. Collect the money, put the party on there. I love the smiles and the joy on the kids, but the parties, like the Valentine's Day card exchange and doing the thing, it's like, what if somebody doesn't get as many cards as them? And what if they forgot this? And what if they don't have a bag? I have to have the bags ready. Okay. And what if it was just an anxiety that I had. And it wasn't just in the classroom. My own kids, I didn't like to throw parties. I really had to get out of my comfort zone anytime there was some sort of party celebration thing. Because of it was just a lot to me. It was a lot to me. And I would say things in my head that were what ifs that never happened. It never happened, but I was so worried that it would that it brought me anxiety. So parties weren't always the most fun, but they were the most fun. You know what I'm saying? So just thinking about those things in those grade levels. So grateful to the PTO and the class parents and all that. Y'all made my world go round when it came to that. I could teach all day. I know I was great at that. And I could communicate well all day. Y'all got those new newsletters and they were on point. But a class party, come on, please help. And they did, and they were wonderful. So thank you. The teachers being magicians in these grade levels, first, second, and third grade teachers, let me tell y'all something. Y'all are the rabbit out of the hat type of teachers because it takes a special somebody to know how to balance the academic and emotional growth that's happening at these ages. It is really easy to make a misstep and cause a child to feel upset. It's also really easy to make a child happy in these at these ages. I always believed that second grade was, a lot of people like, well, what's that grade level that like they're not too young, they're not too old, thinking in terms of elementary, which is the second. Second grade is that grade level that it's like the sweet spot, right? That they still love their teacher. They still want to make the teacher so happy, but they're super independent by then. They can do a lot on their own. So, second is that beautiful grade level where it's like, we don't have, the state testing yet, but we're still really solid in academics and we're ready when it comes. And I love my teacher and I really want to make my teacher happy. It's such a lovely grade level that marries the two. And so, first, second, and third, those are the great grade levels. And there's small moments that stick with you forever, and that stick with the students forever. They remember those things. I remember being in my second grade classroom, and I had a bunch of kids that liked baseball. I think I told y'all this before, and they just were accepting of my personality. I loved music, and so I would sing, make up songs, chants, whatever, rap songs that had incorporated baseball and math. I don't remember any of them, but they got it, and that's what matters. They got it, okay? And I remember when the Astros had won. They were in the playoffs, and so it was really hard for them to focus because they were thinking about the fact that the Astros were in the playoffs and they were playing a game and we needed to know and what was going to happen. And we did. So I had to tie it in to making predictions and all that because that's where their mind was. But it was such a special moment. You just remember things like that in the classroom. They don't forget. It just makes me smile when I think about, certain groups of kids that don't leave you. I had a kindergarten class where they were just the most super sweet and helpful, but my second graders were super sweet and helpful in a way that was so independent. It was unbelievable that they kind of supported one another and I didn't have to do much. I will say, as teachers in first, second, and third grade, you have the ability to really make the day run smoothly because once you put those structures in place, they take it and they run with it at this age. I mean, class jobs become so vital to the day that you are able to do your job in a more efficient way. You can focus on the teaching because the kids are able to run the room. And it's a well-oiled machine and it is a beautiful thing, but you have to put the structures in place to make that happen. Make sure that in order to keep it light, in order to keep the magic alive, you incorporate times for students to be creative, to play, to laugh. Um, it is really important that they remember school is a place that we learn in all different ways, but it should bring them joy. They should want to be there. So try to incorporate, some games, some things that make them happy, class pet, something like that. And celebrate those small wins. The the things that make me the most happy, it's not, always the kids that are they're going to do well. They're going to show up and do exactly what they're supposed to do. Wonderful. Love that. It's also the small wins, though, for that kid that's been struggling, and you want to make sure that they at least grow a little. That is a small win when they go from a 50 to a 60. Yes. No, it is not the passing standard, but man, you grew. That is huge. Celebrate it. Celebrate it. And they are not too grown. I know it's 2025 and we're used to the electronics, but they are not too grown for a sticker. Don't hog the stickers. Give them a sticker. They still are receptive to things like that. Yes, we have electronic ways of giving, right? We have points that we can give on different apps, and we have, group points that we can get that really help to have a positive school culture. But individually, they can also receive, something tangible like a sticker. And that works too. And also think about building belonging as much as possible. If you have, a morning routine, make sure that it includes saying hello to the children. No matter what your day was like that morning, no matter what it was like that night, greet your kids. Say good morning to them. No matter what has happened, that face that they see every morning when they step into the room should be greeting them and inviting them to a good day. Because you never know what their day was like. You don't know what their morning was like. You don't know what they went through last night. So your smiling face and your greeting could set the stage for a good day. Greet the kids at the doorway, preferably. Meet them there. Give them the fist pump, handshake, the what is it? Whatever dance y'all make up, your special handshake, whatever. Greet them and make them feel like you remember them. You're glad they're there. They belong there. You want them there. That is important. Do it every day. And the same goes for adults. When you walk into the school, you want somebody to say good morning back to you. It is weird if you walk in somewhere and you're like, good morning, and everyone ignores you. Come on. It's rough out there. I know. But try your best. Try your best to speak. Give a greeting. Be the person that can turn the day around. They might have had the roughest morning. The car rider line was a beast, right? And you're like, you know what? Now I got to go to work. Now I got to try to be happy, go lucky. It's fake. That's okay. Fake it till you make it. Okay? But speak in the morning. Try to be as kind as possible in the morning. In the classroom, you can have like some partner activities. Have the students work together as much as possible. If you follow that, I do as the teacher, we do with some guiding work, make sure you incorporate the y'all do, right, before the you do, right? Because y'all do is when the students are working together and they try it without you. Give them some ability, some time to gradually gain the concept. You show them as the teacher, right? And then they do one or two with you. And then let them do one or two with each other, talking through it, getting through the challenge together, right? You need them to have some productive struggle. Let them struggle productively. Provide some feedback, and then let them do it by themselves. But that is a gradual release. You don't just say, okay, watch me do it. Okay, go. Gradually release them into it. You would never want that for yourself. It was never a, hey, here's how you drive a car. Okay, you see what I'm doing? Okay, go drive the car. That's not how that works. There was a, here's how you drive a car. Do you see what I'm doing? Let's work on it together. Come over here, get in the car. Okay, this is how you get ready. Fix your mirrors, do that. We're going to do it together, right? And then I'm going to let you drive with somebody. You have to have somebody else in the car with you while you're driving. Then you can drive by yourself. Gradual release. That is how it happens when you learn something well. You need enough opportunity to practice before you're showing that you've learned it, right? And then, like I've said before, those class jobs, make sure everybody feels like they play a role. Not just in group work, when you have students in groups and they have their, specific role within the group, but throughout the day, every day, they have a role. Even if their name is not up there for a specific job, in first, second, or third grade, they need to know, no matter if their name is listed for a job, they have a job. If your name is not there, your job is to follow directions and do what you know needs to be done each and every day. That includes getting to where you need to be in the way you need to get there and doing what you need to do. Also supporting others if they need it, right? You see somebody struggling, ask them, do you need some help? Tell them I can help you. Help them. That is your job as a student in the room. But you have to build that culture of supporting one another if it's going to work. Because if you don't build that culture at this age, it's going to come across like, you're in my space. I don't want you in my space. Get away from me. Why are you always telling me what to do? You have to build the culture first. Once the culture is built and there's an understanding that we all have a job and we all want to make sure that everybody is improving and being successful, then we all will be. But it has to be built. That's what makes it magic. That's what makes it magic. So that brings us to our tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is discuss the magic moment. Discuss it. Talk about it. If you are a teacher, discussing the magic moment means maybe you have a magic moment board, right? And on that magic moment board, students can just write a little sticky note or something that was magical that they learned, or something they felt was kind that they did, or something that someone else did for them that was kind, or something funny that happened that day. But the magic moment board could help students see that there's these times that things happen that really can turn your day around, that really are memorable, that really help you want to be there. Have a magic moment board. Discuss those magic moments. Talk about it as a class. And, you can determine, hey, are there some trends? We all like it when this happens. Maybe we'll make that a regular thing. Have the conversations. Discuss them. If you're a parent, I'm guilty of this too, where you ask, how's your day? How's school? Right? They're going to, of course, what are kids going to say? It was fine. It was good. They're rarely are they going to say something other than that. So being more specific and saying, what was your magic moment today? And let them know the magic moment is either something that was funny. What was the funniest thing that happened today? Or what was something new that you learned today? Or what was, something kind you did for someone? Or something that, some kind thing that someone did to you or said to you. Ask about those magic moments because it shifts the focus from a broad sense of the day as a whole to something specific that sticks out to them. Okay? We got this. We're going to be happy. We're going to be joyous. We are going to focus on the magic moments. First, second, and third grade teachers, y'all are all of that. Everything. We love you. We need you. Keep up the great work. Keep being magical. And remember, rediscover your joy, embrace your true self, let them see you. Thanks for listening to Let Them See You. Until next time, climb with courage, stand in the light, let them see you.